Hello, friends, and welcome back to another action-packed episode of the Nintendo Gems podcast. My name is Brayden, and as always, I'm joined by my beautiful brother, co-host,
Connor.
Hi, Connor.
Hi, Brayden. It's weird saying your own name.
It is.
I think we need to start doing that differently.
Let us introduce the other or something.
Also, what kind of podcast is this?
Nintendo podcast.
Uh-huh.
For the video games both new and old.
Yeah.
Did I mess up the intro?
Maybe. But, we're in talks of changing it anyway, apparently. So who's counting?
Yeah. We're here to talk some Pokemon today, which we were just discussing before we hit the record button. Like, we've done quite a bit. I don't know if there's any franchise that we've covered more on the podcast collectively.
I think this is probably the one. We've covered new Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Conquest long ago. Mm-hmm. Y'all talked about Red, Blue, and Yellow longer ago.
Yeah.
Brilliant
Diamond, Shining Pearl.
Not too long ago.
And the top tier episode of Pokemon that we've covered, besides Conquest. Conquest was that was a cool one. I enjoyed that conversation at least.
Yeah, it's a cool game.
But Arceus, we did talk about Legends Arceus when it came out.
But there's been one Pokemon game that has come out. It's been a while now, but we're on the cutting edge here, truly.
Absolutely.
Of Zeitgeist.
I am a little eager to talk about it though, so late in the game. I don't know. I certainly have thoughts, but I'm excited to discuss them spoiler free because not to get too ahead of myself, but it was the latter half of the game that I enjoyed the most.
Interesting.
Some of the most spoiler heavy material. So okay. I'm pleased we're here.
For Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I did pick up Scarlet right when it came out. As with every iteration of Pokemon, there are hopes, there are expectations, two very different things when it comes to Pokemon games and the Pokemon Company and what they are capable of delivering.
Well, maybe the best jumping off point in terms of discussion is when we last left our heroes. I remember we were talking about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and we were both kind of coming away from it, concluding that maybe Pokemon is just not for us anymore.
Right.
Maybe we've grown out of it. Maybe Pokemon has grown into something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Leaving a little disillusioned. At least I was. I did not get very far into Brilliant Diamond myself.
Yeah.
I remember post Sword and Shield, post Legends Arceus, and post Shining Pearl, you were beginning to be chipped away at. Yeah. In that regard, quite a bit.
That is definitely a sentiment that has been pretty pervasive through these most recent coverages of Pokemon games. And again, Arceus being the most refreshing, I think. It had enough to provide for a veteran Pokemon player, I guess, that, really felt refreshing. That's kind of where we're at still with Scarlet Violet. It's interesting where they've landed on what may be the new formula going forward. Certain aspects feel good. Certain aspects make me wish I had been playing Arceus. And really, it's just a strange blend of the two, of old and new. Like
the core Pokemon Red, Blue, Diamond, Silver, like the core Pokemon game versus like what changed and innovated with Legends?
Yes.
Okay. When Pokemon Scarlet and Violet first started getting promoted, when it was announced, one of the more obvious innovations was that it was more like Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, most notably the open world and kind of like the open world format battles, I guess.
Yeah, with the Pokemon roaming the landscape.
Right,
being available.
You can avoid them.
You can avoid them. You can see what you are approaching. Like, tall grass isn't really a thing anymore.
Yeah, that the Pokemon are hiding in, and it's random encounters and such.
Yeah. You kind of choose your battles as you feel necessary.
Do you feel like it's better for it?
Yeah, I do. And I do think it's worth mentioning, like, this is not the first time they attempted this. Even Arceus wasn't. Like, Sword and Shield had those wilderness areas, wild areas, I think, rather, where it wasn't the full map. It was certain areas of the map where, yes, the Pokemon were wandering around and you could engage them in battles. If you are a frequent listener of in 10 Gems, you will know I did not finish Sword and Shield. I hated it. I hated it that much. And that was like the first Pokemon game I've ever not finished. And so I was nervous for Scarlet and Violet, but it's true. It is a one large, seamless, continuous world with Pokemon roaming the landscape, and you can see them from a distance and choose your battles accordingly. Which does make it a little strange for like the trainers.
Like trainer battles? Trainer battles,
yeah. Whereas when you're playing a top-down Pokemon game, they can kind of pin you into some trainer battles. But this one, a lot of times you have to be following the laid-out path, like the dirt path that leads from town to town, in order to interact with a lot of the trainers. And so, like there's some hit and miss points to this formula, and whether it works or not.
Making it optional like that?
Yeah.
It should make you want to battle trainers, right?
Yeah, trainer battles are a key feature of Pokemon as a whole, like the anime. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be about that bonding, that competition.
Yeah.
Granted, I have always been a Pokemon collector, more so myself, and so like the wild Pokemon, it sits well with me. But
well, I should ask. Didn't finish Sword and Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Did you finish Scarlet and Violet?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Which one are you playing? Also,
I played Scarlet.
Okay, cool.
And yes, I did finish it, and kind of like I alluded to, we'll get to it, but I'm so glad I did. The end game portion is possibly the highlight.
I should note, I did not play either of them.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't played a mainline Pokemon game in years. Brilliant Diamond was like my most recent foray back into it. Didn't hook me.
Mm-hmm.
The Scarlet and Violet tempted me.
Yeah.
From what a lot of people were saying, and I had a lot of friends get it, and they were excited about it. Some still play it to this day.
Oh yeah, I have a coworker. She is dead set on getting the full Pokedex and is like strongly on her way. She keeps me up to date on whether she, how many she has left, and I admire that. I am not a great long-term player of any game ever. Especially if I beat it, I'm pretty quick to move on to the next thing.
Sure.
But there's replayability to it.
Are there any other like major foundational changes to like the gameplay or the structure that shake Pokemon up a little bit?
Yeah, so I have a couple points I want to touch on. And the first, since we've mentioned Arceus so far, in that game, it was open world. You chose a location, and then it was a very large arena for you to explore. And you could utilize these different Pokemon to soar around, or to surf on the water if you needed to, or just move faster. I wish I could remember what they were called, but they were in essence like HM slaves that were baked into the game, whereas you just got to utilize them as you needed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting. I'll go into what this Pokemon is later, but you have this Pokemon called Koraidon, which is some mysterious, ancient, semi-legendary type Pokemon, where once you get the Pokemon, which is part of the story, you can ride on it, and you move a little bit faster. But as the story progresses, you unlock different abilities for Koraidon. So at some point, you get a dash, and so you move even faster, and like it is really helpful. Like these are large, sprawling landscapes you need to cover.
And he's like the dragon motorcycle looking guy, right?
That's correct.
Cool. Can you use him in battle? Is he like a normal Pokemon in your party?
No.
Interesting. So mechanically, it's just like your transportation.
Correct.
Okay. That's fair. That's okay.
You might get to later. But and then you get a glide function for Koraidon, and then you get he can climb walls, and so like it's an interesting function addition to a core Pokemon game. Like it felt so right in Legends. Just so many things were different, and like these huge open areas that you need to cover quickly. They've really baked that into a core Pokemon experience with 8 gems and all kind of scattered throughout a world map. I was hesitant on that idea until I got later on in the game. The overarching story is you are in this new region called Paldea. We've never seen before in a Pokemon game. There's this weird crater in the middle, and it's essentially like a circular type island thing built around like this crater. There's cities all around. There's a snowy area, and there's some mountainous terrain and things like that. And you go to the academy at the largest city in the region. You are training to become a Pokemon master, which is cool, and it felt a little Three Houses-y, like they wish they could have done more with it or something. But it set the scene well enough. The school sends you on the school-sanctioned treasure hunt, which is a period of time for you to go pursue, like, extracurricular activities, and each student's treasure is supposed to be unique to them and what they accomplished during this time.
Okay.
And it's kind of, I mean, I think a lot of students in game canon use it to take on the 8 gems or whatever. I don't know. It was strange to me that it was like some school sanctioned event type thing. But that's what opens up the game for you. That's when you are free to pursue whatever you'd like across the world map. And from there you kind of have 3 different objectives, which is new to Pokemon, and especially in the way they laid it out. Like, there are these markers on your map showing you where these objectives are. You can take on the 8 gems, traditional Pokemon fare, cool stuff. You can challenge the Titan Pokemon. There are these strange Pokemon scattered throughout the map that are larger, more peculiar than their average alternatives. So, like one of them, you get a picture of Don Fan.
Yeah.
Basically, you've been playing your own Pokemon games.
Yeah.
But like there's several of the Titans. I think there are 5. Several of the Titans are like new Pokemon to this generation, and so like it doesn't feel like a great comparison. But one of them is a giant Don Fan with like huge tusks, and I think he's called like Mighty Tusk or something like that. They call him cool, ancient kind of primal names.
Okay.
And your task is to go study them, like see what's going on with them, and then the other objective you can follow for your treasure hunt are the star bases. The Team Star is the Team Rocket of this game. It's essentially a bunch of students who have like quit school and set up their own team.
You have to defeat them to prove that school is cool.
Yeah, kind of.
Go back to class.
You really are kind of. I want to talk about each of those 3 branches.
Sure.
So the gyms are pretty traditional, and are fun in the normal kind of Pokemon way. I think a lot of people probably pursued those first, and you can do all these in any order that you'd like. Typically,
is it followed by an Elite Four?
Yes.
Okay.
There's an Elite Four, and you fight the champion. Again, all of this is kind of run by this school in the center of the Paldea region, and so like the Elite Four are like teachers, kind of.
Okay.
They're all, even the gym leaders are chosen by the school.
Interesting.
And so a lot of times the stakes didn't feel quite as like dramatic and high intensity as becoming the world champion Pokemon master.
Sure.
Or something like that.
Feels a little more like it's in a vacuum.
Yes. But yeah, you take on the 8 gyms. We're going to start with the star bases, actually.
Okay.
Which they have like this interesting mechanic that is new to Scarlet and Violet. You can auto battle your Pokemon, including with wild Pokemon that are out in the field. You will toss out your Pokeball, and your Pokemon will kind of rush forward a little bit, and if it's in proximity of a wild Pokemon, it will attack it. And sometimes it can take an attack or 2, and your Pokemon will take some damage, and you'll defeat it and get the experience. If your Pokemon is super over-leveled, it'll just kind of annihilate the wild Pokemon. But
that's nice. That's pretty forward thinking.
It
for Pokemon.
It feels good. And a lot of some Pokemon like require that to be evolved. Like you have to like walk with them or have them auto battle a certain amount of times for them to evolve. It's kind of just some weird mechanics surrounding that. But the star bases are these fenced-in areas where there's a bunch of Team Star members, and they're all throwing, like, their Pokemon out of their balls, and you get to choose 3 out of your team to auto-battle, like, 30 of their Pokemon within, like, a stupid long amount of time, actually. You have, like, 20 minutes to battle 30 Pokemon. Okay. I don't know. It's not absurdly difficult, and it was my least favorite pursuit in the game. Okay. It was very interesting. I just think they could have done more with it.
You said after you defeat them, they do something to, like, the world? Or, like, something...
These star bases?
Yeah.
Not really. They kind of just empty out, and they are areas you might have to pass through to get to a town. But typically, no. They follow a storyline regarding this, like, the Team Star secret leader. Like, they're all obeying, like, this weird secret leader. I don't know. It's... both story-wise and gameplay-wise, I find it to be the weakest portion of the game. But it does, it comes to fruition towards the end. And then there are the Titans.
Now, does the game just, like, not really, like, roll credits until you complete these 3 whole things? Do they kind of, like, converge?
They converge, and then there's a portion of game.
Okay, cool. Just making sure that you don't, like, after you beat the champion, after the gyms and the Elite Four, that's not, like, right. and into the game.
The third objective of the game is to find these Titans, to research these Titans. And you find out from a kid who goes to the school. He starts off really standoffish. Like, I did not like his character at all at first. I was kind of annoyed he was going to be a regular part of the game, but he wants you to go. He's the one who gives you Koraidon, essentially. But he's like, go investigate these Titans, see what's going on. And as you do so, you realize they've been eating this like mystical, magical crystal flora that has made them.
This what's it called?
Oh, you're exactly right. It's the terastallization.
Yeah, that's what I said like the first time.
Yeah, it's like the crystallization that you can power up your Pokemon with. I don't know. It's this version's battle gimmick.
Yeah, Mega Evolution.
Exactly.
Sort of Gigantamax.
Yes. But these wild Pokemon have found a source of it in nature and are eating it, essentially, and becoming huge and scary and troublesome. So you later find out Arven is essentially using you to clear the way of these Titan Pokemon so that he can get to the plants that create, like, this terastallization power. And the first 2, I think, he's like, move out of my way, give it to me. And then the third, you learn he's trying to heal his old Pokemon who has... of course it's a dog. Like, they use a dog Pokemon. It's called Mabastiff.
Okay.
Like Mastiff, but like with boss in there. And it's gone blind and deaf. He can like barely walk and stuff. And he's trying to find a cure for it. And he becomes apologetic and is like, I just really miss my best friend and I really want him to be better. And so not only are these plants that you get after the Titan Pokemon what give Koraidon the new abilities to glide and climb and things like that, but also it actually ends up being a pretty heartwarming story about a trainer just going to the ends of the earth to like heal his Pokemon.
Well, but kind of a villain. He's making you go to the ends of the earth.
He starts off as a dick, but he becomes your friend too. Like,
well, isn't that precious?
Yes. I wish I had a little more time to... And honestly, memory of like the intricacies of the storyline to whelm you with it, because it was one of my favorite parts. By the end of it,
character development of any kind for any character in a Pokemon game is certainly worth noting.
It felt good.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, all of it, even the school setting, like just having more contextual story to any of it other than, you're the very best, you're setting out on your Pokemon journey, 8 gyms, done.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm for it. I always like when a Pokemon tries to get a little more interesting with it.
Yeah. Really, the school setting had some hits and misses for me. But you're right, it did establish a nice world around it.
So what happens after you... what's the final mission?
Arven... his mom or dad, depending on the version you're playing, is a Pokemon professor and has been hiding for a while. Like you kind of look for them, but you don't end up finding them. Team Star has, well, it turns out their boss is like this little nerdy girl who's kind of been following you around, but her name's Penny, and she's very charming. You might have seen her. She has like the red and blue kind of like split hair. And then for the gym challenge, who turns out to be like the Pokemon champion, your rival, she also kind of joins you to go explore Area 0, which is the forbidden area behind the school. It's the crater in the center of the region. I want to say Arvin gets information somehow that his parent is down there, and you need to go explore it. And so these 3 storylines that you can complete in any order. They all kind of come together. You go to Area 0, and you essentially have a party of humans following you as well. You have these 3 friends, allies, who you've made along the way, and to varying degrees of authenticity.
Sure.
Penny, in my opinion, kind of being the least. Just the Team Star, like I said, the storyline felt the weakest. They got bullied out of school for their fashion senses, and she is like the most bullied, kind of, and so she ends up being like the leader. I don't know. It's charming and innocent / concerning, you know what I mean? It has all the drama of a good storyline, but just the least engaging, at least personally. But regardless, you're in Area 0, which is a brand new, relatively large area, with these 3 allies, and they're all kind of commenting on things as you go, which is a lot of fun.
Is it just like a meteor, like, crater? Is it just like...
That's kind of what's interesting, is we don't know. There is planned DLC. We don't have all the context here.
Yeah.
But, so you climb down this crater, and have you seen the Paradox Pokemon? Have you seen the Jigglypuff with, like, the mohawk, or the Magneton that's, like, messed up looking? Like,
I don't know.
Back when the rumors of Scarlet and Violet were first coming forth, there was a lot of talk of, like, time travel. And, like, whether you could go to, like, one version would be past Pokemon, and one version would be future Pokemon.
Ooh, that's cool.
And it turned out to be true. So depending on which version you're playing, so I played Scarlet, and so Arvin's mom was missing, and she was obsessed with going to the past, and, like, preserving the past. You get down to the bottom of this crater, there's this laboratory. It turns out your parents been dead for a long time, but they created, like, this perfect AI replica of themselves, partially as, like, an assistant, partially to continue their work, or something like that.
Okay.
And these Paradox Pokemon from an alternate timeline start pouring out. I don't know, just kind of, like, scroll through.
Yeah, I've seen that with Jigglypuff.
They look like fan-made Pokemon. Like, back from, like, the early 2000s. Like, people just, like, drawing strange evolutions.
So you don't like them?
No, I do, very much so.
Oh, okay.
I think they're really cool. I'm just not even doing the story justice. Because it does have a story. And this AI is so convinced that it is the professor that it thinks Arvin's its child, and Arvin's like, "You're not my mom, you are a robot." And she's like, "Well, your mom really loved you." And so you have to end up, like, destroying the computer, essentially, and all this dramatic fare to close the time machine and stop these Paradox Pokemon from pouring out. And
sure,
it's one of the more exciting Pokemon experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, and it sounds cool for a Pokemon game. It
felt like a climax to a Pokemon game, just with like you said, the 3 team of allies following you around, each from their own kind of separate adventure that I've had emotional stakes in along the way. And then we hadn't really dealt with the professor a whole lot, but the way, as cheesy as it is, the parent drama and the emotions that Arvin went through trying to be like, should I feel some type of way about this exact replica AI construct of my parent? and having to destroy it. It was a win for Pokemon in my book. It's Pokemon storytelling, at least.
Sure, if nothing else.
Yeah, it took me by surprise. And so, I don't know. And after that is when the credits roll. Typically, credits are after the Elite Four, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And so then the Ed Sheeran song plays, which is...
I forgot about that.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Hell yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. And...
Now I don't have to play it.
No, you do not. Spoilers, hey, we made it to the end of the discussion, kind of.
Well, but, I mean, should I play it? It sounds like it's a cool... Oh, no. No?
I mean, if you didn't... I mean, it is still so much Pokemon. And again, if you're going to play, like, a new Pokemon and want, like, a fresh experience, Arceus does more with what it has than I think Scarlet and Violet do. Arceus just, like, not only, like, the ancient setting, like, the feudal Japan, like, setting feels really good. You can't catch Pokemon outside of battle in Scarlet and Violet. Whereas you could do that in Legends.
Yeah, you could, like, sneak up on them and stealth catch them.
That was one of my favorite parts of the game, too.
Okay.
And so they took that away. The 3D battles, you can't move your character around the battle.
Right.
It does do a good job of forming the battle perspective. If I'm trying to think of the best wording for it, but
like in the overworld.
Yeah. It implements the overworld really well wherever you are standing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes to a fault, because like if you're in like a town, like NPCs will just like walk right through the middle of your battle or whatever.
That's fun. Are there like trainer battles like in towns? And
occasionally, yeah.
Huh. Well, that is kind of a line of questioning. I know it's obviously it's been a few months as of this recording since the game has come out.
Yeah.
It's overall it's generally old news. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how are the technical issues? The general reception of this game that I recall seeing since it came out is that it's certainly one of the best Pokemon games to come out in a long time, sure. If not the best one so far. Mm-hmm. Fundamentally, but technically, it's like the sloppiest. It is. It's barely holding itself together on a technical level.
It's supposed to be fortunate, but unfortunately, I didn't get any of the funny bugs where like people have like giant heads sure. or like their eyes are like bugging out.
Did you ever like fall through the ground or anything?
No, I don't think
nothing fun. Just like just frame rate.
Oh, frame rate is garbage. Like pop in like you wouldn't believe, especially like you get boosting on Koraidon and like you're just flying through the fields and the mountains or whatever, and like
the game just like can't render it.
Yeah, and enough. I mean like. I'm convinced I passed trainers that way. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just didn't ever even see them. They never were physical on my screen.
Sonic Frontiers, meet your match.
Yeah. I mean, and I did, like, I wouldn't call this a technical glitch, more of a mechanical one or something, but, like, I would take advantage of if you backed Koraidon up to a cliff face. This was like before I had the climb feature.
Oh, I remember watching a video of this.
You just like jump backwards.
Yeah.
You can kind of like climb that cliff. And so like I took advantage of that a couple times. You know, it's just like messy stuff like that.
Sure.
That it is one of the more ambitious Pokemon titles ever made, but also yes, like one of the sloppiest. Like
it sounds like it was just like unoptimized.
Yeah.
Like its heart was in the right place.
Totally.
It had the right ideas, but like maybe it was just, I mean, definitely it was just rushed, mm-hmm. right?
The only other complaint I would have, like, rush wise, I don't even know, and it's not anything performance based, but the towns are beautiful. Like, they're really big. But they have a lot of empty buildings that you can't even access.
Sure.
Like, I can hardly think of any houses that I entered. There's lots of these weird restaurants, and like, I just hate Pokemon gimmicks.
The picnics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you get like temporary stat buffs, and like your Pokemon will be more effective against Ghost for 30 minutes. Like, cool. I don't care. I don't think I ever used it.
It's not like a Monster Hunter kind of thing where it's sort of a must before every
Absolutely
battle?
not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. There were a couple gems that like I lost once or twice to. Like, I mean, I definitely lost a couple times throughout the game, but it didn't make me think, oh, I should have a picnic before I get into this battle.
Sure.
It was just, I went and grinded a little more. You know what I mean? I got a few more levels and that was it. And so, I don't know. A little more fleshed out world building wouldn't have been the worst. At least for the villages and cities and things like that.
What do you think of all the new Pokemon?
For the most part, they were cool. I really like there's a weird new Diglett.
The Wiglet.
The Wiglet.
I love the Wiglet.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Cool. You're fairly familiar.
Yeah, I've seen some of the new ones.
And like the new Wooper.
Is he brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's ground type?
Okay.
Or electric maybe? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I really like some of like the
Haldean forms.
Yeah. I suppose you'd say. And then some of the new Pokemon are a little goofy. There's one in particular, I can't even like get a full picture of it, but I see it and I'm like, that was dumb. Like, and I think it was one of the Titans too. Ooh, yeah. This Orthworm. He's got like little cartoon like dot eyes. I don't know. He was just kind of goofy.
You hate him?
I kind of hate him. So as always, they're kind of hit and miss. I don't know. They just need to go Digimon already and like just start doing like cool.
Oh, there's a cool Caesar.
Yeah.
Right?
That's one of the Paradox.
Okay. Word?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it like a future Caesar?
I think so.
Okay.
Which I didn't get to see.
I'm cool. I'm chill with that.
And
they got some that's a Digimon-y design.
Yes.
They've got some in there.
The Paradox stuff is so cool. I'm a huge fan of that concept. Of course they're going to go away just like the freaking Mega Evolutions did.
Next generation.
And which bums me out. I don't know if I'll turn Scarlet Violet back on for a while, unless I get really compelled to train my Gengar some more or something. But I'll definitely pull it up for the DLC.
Interesting.
It still feels like at the end of the day, Arceus has done more for my own hope and perspective for the Pokemon series. It inspired me more to care a little bit.
More leaps in that one than steps, yeah.
Yes. But Scarlet and Violet definitely kept me entertained and is a worthwhile entry if you're looking for a place to get back in.
Well, that's that kind of thing. Like when the game came out and all my friends were playing Pokemon again, for a little bit, it almost hooks me for a little bit. But then after the hype dies down, I'm like, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. You could convince me to pick this up.
Sure.
To pick up Violet, right? You got Scarlet?
Yeah,
I already forgot.
Exactly.
I don't know. You make it sound cool.
I'm glad. And I would support your decision, but you've been on your own Pokemon journey.
Yes.
If you're ready to switch on over.
Well, any final words on Pokemon ScarJo? Do you recommend it? Do you like it? Who is it for? Once again,
it feels to reflect the sentiment that we stated towards the beginning. I don't know if Pokemon's for us. It is so kid friendly. Yeah, some of the story elements that I talked about were like leaning toward dark.
Well, sure,
your friend's sick dog and having to kill your parent.
Sure.
There's something there, but like overall, it's all very silly and kid friendly, and it's not the most engaging game that I've played recently, and so if you like Pokemon, you will love this game. If you're looking to maybe try new Pokemon, like, you will still probably like this game. But if you haven't played in a while and you're like, I'm looking for a great game, this enter at your own risk.
Shin Megami Tensei 5 instead.
That would be, yeah. Well, I mean, it's honestly, yeah.
You nodded as soon as I said that.
Like, yeah, that is a much more robust, time-consuming, thought-inducing game.
Meticulous.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh man, that's fun. I haven't thought of that game in a minute, but
I got you that Devil Survivor. Is that the one that you have now? Devil Survivor Overclocked, Megami Tensei. Cool games. Mm-hmm. Play those instead of Pokemon. I'll say it.
Maybe
I'm from the I gave Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl a chance. Dashed my expectations to the wayside.
Trash game.
It's fine, whatever. Scarlet Violet almost got me back in, but I'll say it. Play those Megami Tensei games. They're good for you. Mm-hmm. Good healthy diet.
Yeah.
On those games. You are correct. I've been on my own Pokemon journey. With
a weird one.
An odd one. Not my own. It is not my own journey. In fact, there have been sessions rather, where those in my party have journeyed without me or attempted to, but met the same end. Me and my buddies are playing through Pokemon Stadiums 1 and 2 at the moment.
Which is such a weird thing to say, playing through.
Sure.
I want to address it, but at least the way I played Pokemon Stadium back as a child, there was no playing through. You just played with your friends and battled, or played some mini games.
Okay. Yeah. They've got single player content.
I know.
You didn't know. I mean,
I
remember.
I knew that.
Okay.
And I played it as a child, but that was not how I played Pokemon Stadium as a kid.
Okay.
I didn't play the way you guys are playing.
Well, yeah. So let's.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got myself in this situation. Let's rewind. Pokemon Stadium is a Nintendo 64 game. Released in 1990.
For the N64.
For the Nintendo 64. It is. We covered New Pokemon Snap on this. We covered Pokemon Snap and New Pokemon Snap on this show. Mm-hmm. New Pokemon Snap was more recent, and I remember addressing. I mean, you're looking at me funny, but the episode was also more recent than the Pokemon Snap episode. Yeah, the new one is more recent than the old one. Yes. I did not feel the need to spell that part out.
Okay, got it.
But
I'm glad you did.
Thanks.
The beer's kicking in.
Yeah. This White Claw.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that second White Claw of the evening, man. Boy, howdy. But what I remember mentioning is that the novelty of Pokemon Snap. Mm-hmm. Follow me here.
Yes.
The novelty of Pokemon Snap at the time was seeing, after Pokemon Red and Blue, back when they first came out, the novelty of Pokemon Snap was seeing your favorite Pokemon in 3D in their natural environment. That was cool because it was fascinating that Pokemon Snap came out before Pokemon Stadium. That's correct. You're listening. Thank you, class.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Pokemon Stadium is, I mean, it's the Pokemon Snap was a spinoff, but Pokemon Stadium is like kind of the core Pokemon experience on a console.
It's like a battle simulator or something. Like
it's a Pokemon. It kind of is a Pokemon battle simulator in the way that like traditional Pokemon games, like from Pokemon Red and Blue, from the jump to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you play as a character on a journey to get all 8 gym badges or whatever, or
with elements of exploration and world design,
adventure game elements. You're exploring through a world, you're conquering challenges and meeting characters. There's a story being told. Mm-hmm. Most of those trappings are kind of gone in Pokemon Stadium. The battles are there, the Pokemon are there, but there's no exploration. There's no story. You don't really have like an identity as a character. But even that's almost getting ahead of it, because you kind of use your own.
That's the idea.
The gimmick of Pokemon Stadium is that it has this battle simulation to it. It has the main stadium mode where you can enter a Pokemon team into different brackets. There's like a junior cup that's like level 5 to 15 or whatever. There's like an all range bracket that's like level 1 to 100.
Yeah.
And then there's a gym leader castle where you can fight the gauntlet of gym leaders in a sequential challenge. And the way Pokemon Stadium tackles this, the way it allows the player to tackle these challenges, rather, you can either rent Pokemon from the full list of 150.
I've always thought rent is an appropriate word for the game, but like for the purposes of explaining it, renting isn't.
Yeah.
A great way.
It's weird. It's a weird term.
You choose your Pokemon.
Yeah.
They give you 151 Pokemon.
Well,
no legendaries.
Yeah. No Mewtwo and Mew, but everybody else is fair game. You can choose the rare birds even.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it just presents you with the list of the full 149 Pokemon. Is Mew 151? 152?
So.
It's been I'm not brushed up on my Poke lore. But the game does present you with just like from Bulbasaur to Zapdos, every Pokemon, and you can build your own party of whatever Pokemon you like or want to use. For the stadium mode, it's a little more slapdash. Like you can kind of just choose your favorites and make it through. But for the gym leader castle, with the gym leaders having more specific type advantages, like specific type themes, you kind of want to build your team around against a specific type,
right?
Which puts some strategy in there. It makes it's interesting. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But the other way that the game lets you tackle the challenges is that the game came with a pack-in expansion for your controller that let you plug your Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow game into.
It was a cartridge. It was a Game Boy cartridge reader
that
you would plug into the back of your N64 controller.
The Nintendo 64 controller has a slot on the back. Famously, you can put the Rumble pack in there so that you can have Rumble function for your games. That's where the memory card goes for saving data. And for Pokemon Stadium, they made a pack. It's hard to describe the hardware of it, but it's something that fits into that slot that also fits a Game Boy game.
Yeah.
And you can put Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow, and you can import your team from that game into Pokemon Stadium to fight in the Stadium mode or to fight against the gym leaders. Or you can even play... There's a bonus mode where you can even just play your Game Boy Pokemon game on your TV.
Right.
Which was extremely novel for the time. You know, now the Switch collection, Game Boy games just came out for it. Playing Game Boy on your TV is not as novel.
Yeah.
But for the time, that was really cool. I thought that was how I wanted to play it.
Yeah.
Put it on the big screen. Interesting.
And so going back to how I just like started blurting there at the start of the episode, I would occasionally enter those. I don't know if I ever did the gym leader castle, but yeah, there were some like leagues you could enter that, you know, it would be single player experiences, and I would probably rent the Pokemon that I wanted and get as far as I could.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we would have friends over, and we would each pick our 6 Pokemon team, and battle our Pokemon in 3D, and that was the fun. That was the cool part.
That is the cool part. It's there's a versus battle mode where it gives you the same access to all 149 Pokemon, and you make your team of your favorites, you fight your friends. And it's fun. Yeah. It's a Pokemon battle simulator. For all intents and purposes. I mean, you can't... Where the limits come in and where the gaminess of Pokemon Stadium itself comes in is how the rental Pokemon are balanced.
Right.
If you're importing your own Pokemon from the Game Boy game, that's one thing. You know, they're going to be a certain level. You're going to have raised them a certain way. They're going to know certain moves.
Yes.
Be evolved certain ways.
Whatever moves you gave them, your Pikachu could be level 100 if you trained it to be level 100.
Yeah, and be balanced in whatever way they are. But the rental Pokemon that Pokemon Stadium supplies to you have fixed stats, fixed move sets, fixed level, like I mentioned earlier, like the stadium has different, like you said, has different leagues, like level ranges level 1 to 100 or like level 50 to 100 or whatever. and then the game kind of automatically sets all your Pokemon and the enemy's Pokemon to level 75 or whatever. So they're roughly the same strength level. And then it just becomes about prioritizing different Pokemon moves and typing, which is where it gets interesting. Back around, and that's all essentially Pokemon Stadium is. Yeah. It's got the stadium mode, the gym leader castle. You can play the game on your screen. It's also got mini games.
Yeah,
it's got fun mini games for the party.
As I recall, really fun mini games.
They're not as fun as you remember. We played plenty of those as well. There's the battle mode for versus. But so what? Again, circling around to where you started, me and my buddies have been on our own Pokemon journey. To complete the gym leader castle for both Pokemon Stadium 1 and Pokemon Stadium 2. We'll get to Pokemon Stadium 2 in a second. But the gaminess of Pokemon Stadium is how well they have balanced the rental Pokemon, letting you choose from 150, for all intents and purposes, let's just say, start saying 150, 150 different characters, essentially. That's tough to balance. That's a tough balancing act. And they didn't do a great job.
Oh, no.
They didn't do a bad job. So we beat Pokemon Stadium 1. We beat the Gym Leader Castle.
Yeah.
There are still other challenges to do, but we just, the goal was to do the Gym Leader thing.
Sure.
It was fun. It gets a little easy because the gyms are predictable. You know, there's the water gym, the electric gym, like they have the certain types, and you learn how to prioritize around that.
Right. And each gym, do you battle 2 or 3 trainers and then the gym leader?
3 trainers and then the leader. Okay. And if you lose at any point, you have to start over from the trainer.
Yeah. From the first trainer.
Yeah. Of that gym.
Yeah.
Right. You can do the gyms in sequential order.
Sure.
But per gym. Yeah. And so they would throw you for a loop occasionally. You wanted to think of like counter types. But generally, if you like brought all grass and electric to the water gym, Swimmer Kyle would go down just as easily as Misty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not too bad. Pokemon Stadium 1, playing to type differences, but we also had a few mainstays. There are a few Pokemon that were kind of goated.
Just like too good?
Goated with sauce.
Yeah.
Just the right combination of the right type, the right moves, countered to their type sometimes even.
Sure.
And decent stats. Executor was one of them.
Yeah?
He's got that Giga Drain.
Okay.
Gigaest Drain in the game. Articuno's got the iciest beam in the game.
Nice.
Moltres, hottest flamethrower.
Oh, you're talking legendary birds? That's cheating.
Starmie.
Okay, there we go.
Starmie, flashiest thunder. Man, who else do we use? I wish I had the boys with me right now. I hope they're listening to this. But it was overall it was a lot of fun. It was fun figuring out the challenges. The Elite Four were a little tough at first, but eventually the champion went down like easy.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you have 4 battles for that one plus the champion?
Yes. Yeah. If I recall correctly. Ultimately, the Gym Leader Castle of Pokemon Stadium 1 took us, I think 2, maybe 3 sittings.
Okay.
We lost some, had to, there's a much deliberation in choosing your 6 Pokemon party. Oh, something that I didn't note that is actually really important to the interesting balancing of the game is... You do choose your party of 6 Pokemon, like your traditional party.
Right.
But per battle, you choose 3.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of each gym, you select 6 Pokemon, but per battle...
You get to pick which 3 will feel most appropriate.
Right. And you get to see your opponent's team, too. But they're also choosing... You get to see your opponent's team of all 6... And they are also choosing only 3. And so it's kind of a dice roll. There's a chance. That's how they can manage to balance it that way. Letting you choose every Pokemon is because every time you enter a gym or a battle of any kind, there's an element of randomness that you can't predict. Otherwise, the game would be solvable.
Sure.
That's kind of when we started playing it. I was like, surely somebody's figured this game out. They know the type. They know the Pokemon team that automatically beats every gym. it's a 20-year-old game. Somebody's figured it out.
Right.
But that element of randomness kind of helps shake it up a little bit.
Sure.
That's Pokemon Stadium 1. Pokemon Stadium 2, everything the same. Pokemon in 3D. Woo! Stadium mode, gym leader mode. You can play your game on the big screen.
Gold, silver, crystal?
Except everything, is now Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Uh-huh. It's the second generation of Pokemon. It's got
256, maybe?
No, they didn't add 100 Pokemon. Did they? 250? Let's just say 250.
Okay.
Don't bother. 250, we've got all 250 Pokemon now. Gen 2, Pokemon Silver. Everything else is otherwise the same. I think the music's generally better.
Okay.
That's one note. New mini games. Pretty cool.
Better mini games? Are they any more fun?
I think they're better. Yeah, I do personally. Buddy Will likes the Pokemon Stadium 1 mini games better, but that's because he's better at them.
Okay.
And I may or may not like the Stadium 2 ones because I'm better at them. Who's to say? But I tell you what. I'll tell you one thing for certain.
Yeah.
They learned their lesson with Pokemon Stadium 2, and they certainly rebalanced everything.
Yeah.
There are no longer favorites. Starmie is no longer the be-all, end-all solution. He's no longer our boy. Mm-hmm. We love him to death.
Use him when you can, I'm sure.
Love that guy. We've thrown him in as a wild card in a few battles.
Yeah.
But you do the strategy is a lot more interesting. You have to play even more so for type. Everything is more appropriately rebalanced. They've really locked in the like I was explaining to you before recording. We were talking about this a little bit. They'll give Charmander, for example, Flamethrower. Mm-hmm. Which is like the strongest fire type move. It's the most powerful fire type attack.
Yes.
But his attack stats will be low. And then they'll give Charizard, which is Charmander's final evolved form. Mm-hmm. He has higher stats, but he'll have like
Ember.
Yeah, exactly. He'll have like a bad fire type move. Or like a less powerful one. So they balance it out in that regard. Sometimes you want to have like a little glass cannon. Sometimes I don't know.
Here's an in the weeds Pokemon thing, but if you're really, you're really getting back into it, you might be able to hang. Do special attack and special defense matter? Like I can't remember if they differentiate the attacks that way in Pokemon Stadium or not. In
Pokemon Stadium 2, they do.
Okay.
Yes, and it's interesting, and some I don't know. We found a few mainstays. There are a few buffers. Wobbuffet stays in the party.
Yeah.
Wobbuffet makes the cut. He's got Counter and Mirror Force.
Yeah.
You know what those do?
Mirror Shield? Mirror Force?
I think it's Mirror Force.
Okay.
I forget.
One of them's Yu-Gi-Oh! And one of them's Pokemon.
Oh. One of those is Zelda, too.
Yeah.
But it's got the one that, like, reflects a move.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
One's physical. Totally. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. Mansplaining Pokemon to you.
Yeah, get off me.
But it's interesting because Wobbuffet's just like got that in his moveset. Mm-hmm. That's kind of an all-purpose thing.
Sure.
Most Pokemon play their type. They don't really have much of a gimmick, but the gimmicky ones are interesting. Mm-hmm. And as far as Pokemon Stadium 2's Gym Leader Castle is concerned, because everything's retooled and a little more well balanced, we did have to like wipe the slate clean with each gym. Think about like what's the typing, what's gonna matter the most.
Right.
Maybe lost a little more commonly. However, where we are right now, in the present, as of this recording, and this will hopefully change as of tomorrow night of this recording, as we get back together and maybe take it on again. Oh man, at like the 7th or 8th gym, Team Rocket comes to the Gym Leader Castle and invades. And they're not a gym leader, they don't have a specific type.
Yeah. They
have stupid gimmicks. What they do...
Identifiable ones?
Yes. The first Rocket Grunt. So and it operates the same way. It's like there's like a Team Rocket executive as like the leader. And then there's 3 trainers before him.
It's not Giovanni?
It's not Giovanni.
Okay.
You fight Giovanni in the first one.
Oh, which is cool. Makes sense, because he's not in Gold, Silver, Crystal.
Anyway. Right, he's in Red and Blue.
Yeah.
The first grunt, his gimmick is Explosion. He sends out coughing, wheezing,
garbage,
Geodude, Graveler, and they just Explosion. And so you're just like, well, that's it.
What can you do?
You can kind of. We've lost to him before. You know, sometimes you just get unlucky.
Yeah.
The second grunt is they will cast Toxic and poison you, and then they'll just cast Protect. Over and over and over and over.
Does Protect have the down turn?
Sometimes it fails. Yeah, it fails on after 2 or 3 uses. But it's just annoying.
Yeah.
It's just
absolutely.
annoying. It's just gimmicky. It's just in your way. You can change Pokemon, and then you can play around there. You can try to trick the AI. You know? That's the most annoying one. After that is Frustration. A bunch of literally.
They use the move Frustration.
They use the move Frustration over and over.
Yeah. Where your stats go up, but you get confused? Is that right?
You often get... Yeah, I think it confuses you. I don't know. It's just really gimmicky, really annoying. Sometimes we make it that far. Sometimes we just get unlucky. You know, you want to read... Especially for the third. The third one is where it gets a little more a real battle, because they have kind of more real Pokemon.
Yeah.
And they don't even all know Frustration.
Right.
But then you get to the fourth one. For no reason in particular, we have nicknamed the fourth and final Rocket executive Tobias, because he just looks like a Tobias. We just keep calling him that. But he sucks. He's got Misdreavus.
Okay.
Ghost type.
Yep.
Tough. He's got a Houndoom, Dark and Fire. Tough. Houndoom's got Flamethrower and Solar Beam and Crunch.
Do what? Solar Beam?
Yeah, and Sunny Day. Sunny Day, Flamethrower, Solar Beam, and Crunch. Fire type, Grass type, Dark type.
Yeah.
Attacks against...
And Fire power-up.
And a Fire power. And a Solar Beam power-up.
Sunny Day means you don't have to charge it, right?
Right.
Right. Cool.
He's the Hoss. He's the Hoss to get past.
Yeah.
But, and then it started with having a Misdreavus counter, and we were like, we can cover Misdreavus. But then, after time, the Houndoom is the real problem.
Yeah.
And it's not impossible, but it is certainly unpredictable.
And takes calculation on how to get through it all.
Right, yeah.
So, I can't remember if this is a mechanic, and I want to say it is. So if your Pokemon is knocked out by an explosion in the first round, is that Pokemon unusable for the rest of the battles?
No.
Okay.
Not for all 6, no. I mean all 4. All 4 battles. Okay. No. Yeah, your Pokemon party is revived, and you can but you still have to choose 3.
Of course, yeah.
The thing we've learned about Tobias is Houndoom and Misdreavus are always coming out.
Okay.
The third one's a wild card, and that's the hardest. We can have our Misdreavus counter and our Houndoom counter, but then he brings out Persian, Victory Bell, or Golbat. And you know those are typey Pokemon. Those are Pokemon that you want to have a type against. You can't plan your entire 6 Pokemon party around the final battle.
Sure.
You still want to have tanky ones for the explosion people. You want to have Wobbuffet to throw the toxic protect squad off the rocker, even though he can't really do damage. It's really tough. It's been more demoralizing than Elden Ring or Sonic Forces.
That's a new one.
Sonic Forces is a real game.
No, I know.
Sonic Frontiers. Oh, man.
Haven't heard you call it that yet, though.
Right. That was a real one, too. For the audience, I keep forgetting the name of Sonic Frontiers. I keep wanting to call it Sonic Horizons.
But this time it was Sonic Forces. Yeah, it's just been really tough. And we've had 4 or 5 sessions on Team Rocket alone. Dang.
And I'm starting to think that the problem is we switch it up every time. We change something in our party. We need to just
grind it out.
Yeah, just
trust the process.
Yeah, let luck take over, a little bit more. But man, it's been very, very fascinating. I had this perception of what I thought Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 were like. What I remember them being like. And and it's such a prevalent notion these days, right? Is like, where's Pokemon Stadium 3? Why don't they just make a new Pokemon Stadium?
Right.
Why don't they make a new Pokemon Stadium where we can just like choose from any Pokemon?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's over like 1,000 Pokemon now, and they're all.
It would be so cool.
It would be so cool. I mean, it would. We've talked about the viability of them like having the entire Pokedex in a modern Pokemon game, and how like that's not super realistic.
Right.
But it would cool pie in the sky dream be. It would be cool to have all Pokemon in one game.
Yes.
However, replaying Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 has truly revealed how much of a nightmare from a development standpoint balancing that would be,
Even with, that is what, 10-15% of the current Pokedex.
Right, exactly. It's already I mean, a literal balancing act. You know, it's like, ooh, I don't know. You got to make sure none of these Pokemon are better than the others, and also set up the challenge. The challenge is presented, the Gym Leader Castle or the Stadium mode or whatever. You have to present them as fair challenges in the face of that.
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Are they good? Are they like...
I think so. The Stadium games?
Yeah.
I think so.
And obviously not like timeless pieces of like game history,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely pretty cool pieces of like Pokemon history, I feel like, at the very least.
And I mean, no generation really got the kind of game that it is. Even Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Wii was...
I remember being so supremely disappointed by that.
It wasn't that bad. It was all right. That one's got really cool visuals. I like that one's visual style a lot. And very this one too. This one, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 have some really cool effects for some of the Pokemon moves. Some of them still look really sick. Yeah. The announcer's funny.
Yeah, he's great.
Some of the music's cool again. Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly it's definitely fun. It's still fun to play. Mm-hmm. If you like Pokemon, of course it's fun to play. It's still Pokemon. Nothing's changed since then, other than like, it's a smaller roster. Sure. Definitely still a fun, interesting game to play. They're adding it to the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack service soon, so you'll be able to play both of them. Yeah. And I think we're all thinking it now that they just added the Game Boy games to the online service as well. Like, come on, we're walking right into it, right?
That would be pretty darn cool if there was some. And do you mean like true compatibility between the two?
I think they almost don't have a choice. Back in the most recently, I guess, on the 3DS, they digitally released Pokemon like Red, Blue, and Yellow, and they made it compatible with the 3DS, where
like Pokemon Bank and stuff. Like you could upload your Pokemon. Yeah,
there was some parody there, and I don't know. I think they'd be crazy. They've already announced that Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 are coming to the N64 collection. Mm-hmm. I think I wouldn't be surprised if those like drop themselves first. Yeah, but like surely, obviously, come on.
I mean, it'd be ideal.
They're gonna have. I mean, for our parents listening, they're gonna drop Pokemon Red and Blue on the Game Boy collection. I'm calling it. Mm-hmm. We hadn't stated it outright directly, but I think that's what's gonna happen. Yeah, I think it's inevitable.
That would be super cool.
Mm. But yeah, for all y'all listening, whenever it comes out, for whenever Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 come out, check them out. They're fun. Mm-hmm. Let me know how Team Rocket goes in Pokemon Stadium 2. Write back, and I will write back on whether we've defeated Tobias or not. Yeah.
Does that make you nervous for the 8th gym and the Elite Four?
Dude, no.
You think they're just like that gimmicky and obnoxious like
I do.
Team Rocket is?
I do. Because we can already... I mean, technically we can look up even the solution to Team Rocket right now. Right. But we know the Elite Four already. We know more what to expect than this random gimmicky Team Rocket matchup. Right. I don't know. We're figuring it out. It's been very frustrating, but it's cool. And Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 are cool. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are cool.
That's right. Pokemon's still cool.
Pokemon still got legs, man. Give it one more game.
Forever. That's all. That's what we say every single time. God, they'll get it right next time. But but the current state of things is okay.
Things are looking up. Things are looking up, right?
Yes.
Okay. This time last year might not have been so optimistic, but the future of Pokemon, whether we like it or not, it's going to be around. It's going to be here to stay forever.
Yeah.
Get used to it, buddy. But as far as our personal enjoyment, it's on a slight uptick, I would say.
Absolutely.
I'm not going anywhere.
Is it still the most profitable franchise in the world? Because I know it was and has been for
forever.
But
I mean, where the quick Google? I don't care.
Yep, Pokemon is currently the number 1 highest grossing media franchise worldwide.
Wow, we did it, gang. We made it. We did it, Reddit.
Through all the shitty games and all the
good games.
All the good games.
Like new Pokemon Snap.
New Pokemon Snap is cool.
Pokemon Conquest is cool.
Yeah.
Pokemon, you're alright. You're on thin ice, but you're alright.
Yeah.
Alright.
We're along for the ride.
Yeah, for now.
For better or worse.
What say you?
Alright, I think it's cool to get us out of here. Do you have any last words?
I hate you, Team Rocket. Go die.
Blasting off again.
Maybe cut that out. We might get banned from Spotify.
What'd you say?
Go die.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We advocate killing.
Go faint.
There we go. Yeah. Team Rocket, go faint. I'll take you to Pokemon Center free of charge.
Yeah. Alright, guys. Well, thank you as always for listening to us yammer on about our games. We really appreciate your participation in the Nintengems podcast. As always, please go follow us on Instagram, give us a like. We'll post some cool stuff from time to time and keep you updated on when we have new episodes. And be sure you are also following us on whatever platform you're listening to us on right now, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. I don't know where we are these days, but yeah,
Napster
for those in 2005. But thank you for listening. My name is Braden.
And I'm Connor.
And this has been Nintengems. We will see you on the flip side.
Love you.